This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Outdoor Pro Shop, LLC. Outdoor Pro Shop is a family-owned and operated firearms dealer and sporting goods retailer. They have pay-over-time options, a rewards program, and customer service satisfaction that is unmatched. They might not be the biggest, but they strive to be the best. Contact them today at 240-360-1298 or visit them on the web at www.outdoor-pro-shop.com. That's Outdoor Pro Shop, 240-360-1298. All right, folks, welcome to another episode of On the Limb podcast with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Well, it's officially football season, and deer season's not far behind it. So, well, tonight we had a cancellation, so we're a little fumbling through things, but it's all good. We'll take care of it, and we'll get it done. Right, Dan? I didn't hear you coming through there, Dan. You all right?
Yeah, well, you got to unmute me first.
No, I had you unmuted. I just had you on speakerphone where we were talking before the podcast.
Oh, I got you.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
We'll get through it like we always do.
Yep.
It's
so
no stranger to things popping off and being thrown a wrench at us.
Hey, that's all right, buddy. Like I said, we'll get through it. So it's starting to get pretty busy here at Nature's Voice Game Calls. We've already had deer call orders coming in, and we've got more to fill. So some seasons is already in. Kentucky and I believe Ohio comes in either this weekend or it's already in, but I think they come in before us. But
yeah.
So
well,
matter of fact,
our season started today or yesterday, Mike. You got to think of that. Youth season.
Oh yeah,
Monday.
The youth season did. Yep, you're right. And there's an urban season going on right now. Caleb Currence, the guy we're going to talk to this evening, either he took that deer during urban or he took it in Kentucky. So we'll hear more about that here in just a little bit. But Caleb is one of the guys that's he's an MB Pro staffer. He's got some exciting news to tell us tonight, but he also does the Whitetail Weekly segment, and he's already connected with the doe, like I said. So we'll hear a little bit about that here in a little bit. But Dan, can you tell us about them episodes?
Yeah, absolutely. So episode 118 with Andrew Kimball, the owner of Wolf Paw Archery, will be airing out tomorrow. Our second Whitetail Weekly segment has dropped as well, so be sure to check that out on all our major networks. Be sure to head over to our Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever else you get your podcasts. Also, guys, don't forget to use Podcast 10 at checkout with outdoor-pro-shop.com. Get your 10% discount there. On the Limb at checkout with apparitionsense.com for your 20% off your entire order. And podcast 15 with for Nature's Voice Gamecalls.com at checkout, and you can get your 15% off your entire order there. And thanks to our partners for offering these great discounts to our listeners. Guys, if it wasn't for you, we couldn't do this kind of stuff. So we try to help you guys out as much as you help us out by listening.
Yep. And upgrading equipment, like we're going to talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a focal point we'll be discussing here, and I can't wait to use it here in a couple short weeks.
Yeah, it's not far off.
No, it's getting closer every day.
So we're going to have Caleb Currence in this evening and Lucas Dawes, which is a first-time podcaster. Man, we're going to be doing some firsts this evening.
We got us
got a newbie.
We'll leave it at newbie. Yeah,
yeah, we'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it in a cherry podcast.
I was going to go there, but I was like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, like I said, Caleb's also an MVGC pro staffer, and he does our Whitetail Weekly segment. So we're going to elaborate a little bit on the Whitetail Weekly segment. We just got done airing the trail cam replacement. So without further ado, please welcome with me, Caleb Currence. How you doing, Caleb?
I'm doing good, Mike. How are you, buddy?
That's pretty good. I call you up, and you're like, I said, you want to talk on the podcast tonight? Perfect time to talk about your new adventure there.
Yeah, right in the middle of it as we speak. Me and Lucas are sitting here going through the West Virginia Business Portal, and we are finally and officially making Turkey Creek Productions an official business of the state of West Virginia. We talked with the guys today, and we're going to go in on a big LLC, make it a partnership, and hopefully we can make something cool, make some good videos, and maybe sell some merch, and just kind of show everyone what we love about the outdoors, and maybe help them find something that they love about it.
Well, you guys have already been putting out content, and from some of the stuff that I've seen you guys do, I don't know who edits your all stuff, but you all put out some good content already. So just to keep the train going there and make it official.
Yeah, we I'm actually the newest one with Turkey Creek Productions, and kind of got put on board with everyone, which obviously I knew pretty much everyone within it, except for Lucas here and Brian, and man, just hit it off as soon as I met these guys, and just great group of guys, and just you can tell that everyone genuinely loves the outdoors, loves to be in the woods, and so whenever you're around people like that are like-minded like that, I mean it's very easy to carry a conversation, fit right in with them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Is old Goose's look-alike? Is he in that too? Turkey Creek Productions.
Yep. He's Luke absolutely is. He's Turkey Creek Productions. So we just called him a little bit ago, and he was complaining because we called him whenever he was eating chicken strips for dinner.
Oh, you interrupted his dinner.
He was like, "I'm busy." But yeah, Luke's here with us.
That's good.
So I know we talked about a minute ago, Whitetail Weekly second segment coming out. How's that going for you?
It's going good. I went to film my third segment this past Sunday. I think the first segment we done, I don't even remember what it was.
Mock scrapes.
Mock scrapes.
Yep.
Mock scrapes. Yep.
Yeah. So the first segment we done just kind of covered mock scrapes very briefly. And then the second one was pretty easy, trail camera placement, where I like to place trail cameras, that nature, keep away from bears and stuff. The third segment, I was going to film it on Sunday, didn't get to film it yesterday, so I'm filming it tomorrow. I didn't get to film it on Sunday, so I'm filming it tomorrow. When I went to film it Sunday, a deer walked in, and we seen how that ended. So we've got tree stand placement coming up, and that's a super, super important thing. Not so much in the early season. There's a lot of foliage on, but as you get into the later part of the deer season, it's a super, super crucial, super vital. Because not only like you think tree stand placement, it's like, oh, well, like, yeah, like I don't want to be, have it, be silhouetted. I don't want to, skylight myself, is, typically what most people think about, which is like a very important thing, but also it's like the wind, right?
Right.
People understand thermals, they don't understand the wind, and that plays a huge, huge factor when I'm deciding on where to place a tree stand. If it's a morning hunt, typically I'd like to be higher than where I expect the deer to come from. We'll get into that into the Whitetail Weekly, but I'm pretty sure you could just spend a whole 45 minutes to an hour just picking that apart. But we've got that coming up, and I talked with Mike there probably a week or so ago. We're talking about doing some e-scouting. And then as we go into season, we're going to start breaking down the 4 phases that a whitetail goes through during a fall, and what a mature buck does in a fall. And kind of, we're going to air a segment before. So after, I would say, the tree stand, we're going to go into, the early season phase of what that buck's going through hormonally, what he's thinking about, what his priorities are. That way we can kind of be one step ahead right before bow season. You go into bow season understanding and know what to look for. And then as we get a little bit closer to pre-rut and transitioning to that, we'll air that during the early season. So like ideally we can keep our listeners one step ahead, teach them what they need to know on the maps, and let them go in and kind of apply these tools this season as they listen along with the podcast.
Oh yeah, man.
Right.
That's great.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, we mentioned also earlier that we got some new equipment we're going to be testing out with the mics and all that. So we'll be instituting those into the field for better sound quality as well. So
you've had some issues there with sound quality, Caleb. I mean, we've made it sound good to get it out there, but this was kind of like, fast approaching anyways, and it's just come right up on us. But we've recently purchased the Rode Pro wireless mics, and those things have a range of 850 feet if you have line of sight of the transmitter or the receiver.
Yeah, they're pretty impressive, and they come standard, with the windshield.
Oh yeah.
Just watching these reviews on these things before we got.
So you won't have to worry about turning your head and having your head facing towards the camera and all that stuff, because no matter where you're facing, you're always going to be heard.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we're gonna, I guess try these out for the first time, other than when I did it here in the studio the other day. But we're going to be trying them out for the fishing charter that we're going to be doing live podcast on the boat, Myrtle Beach, the end of October. I think it's October 25th, 26th, 27th.
Yeah, somewhere around there, 23rd, 24th, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's somewhere at the end of the month. So we'll be going with Coastal Marsh Adventures down Myrtle Beach. Both Tom and Chris are both U.S. Coast Guard captains, and they captain their own boats. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, we also get to eat some great seafood while we're down there.
Oh yeah, you can't go to Myrtle Beach without eating at Bennett's or what's that other place that's right next to that? Captain George's or
Captain D's.
Yeah,
Captain D's. No,
he said Captain D's.
Definitely not on the list for us when it's out.
I think Captain D's is out.
Man.
Oh gosh,
It's the freshest seafood there is, boy.
Yeah, here in West Virginia, you got that right.
I was about to say, West Virginia, that's about cream of the crop.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Yeah, I'll still stick to catching something out of the Canal River and eating it, I think.
Oh, God.
So, Caleb, we're talking about tonight, we're going to elaborate on our recent Whitetail Weekly segment. Let's talk a little bit about trail camera placement. Elaborate on that a little bit more so the people that did listen in on that can, dive more into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, typically, whenever I'm placing a trail camera, there's a few factors. Now, I run typically two types of trail cameras. I either run a Cuddy Link trail camera. Typically, a lot of my places in Ohio, I don't get really good cell signal. So I have to daisy chain the cameras down into the bottoms. And then, around here, around the house, 90% of the time, or the other 80%, 90%, whatever, I'm using Moultrie mobiles. I love the Edges, the Edge 2s, Edge 2 Pros, any of the Moultrie Edges. I mean, they're all, Moultrie makes a great product as well as Cuddy Link. But I would say the most, bang for your buck, easy to use camera there is that Moultrie mobile, from my experience, and dependable too. I mean, I've been running Moultrie mobile for, I don't know, ever since they first came out, and I currently have 19 of them in the woods. I would have 25, but unfortunately, bears. You can trick most of them, but you can't get them all.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of what I think. The first thing I think about is like, where is this camera going? Is it a place that I have service, 50 to 60% of the time or less, right? So if it's more than that, then I stick with my Moultries. If it's less than that and the deer are typically using the areas down in the lower spots where I don't have service, then, in my head, I know that I have to dedicate to the Cuddy Links. So that's what I pack my bag with. I think about it ahead of time. What do I need? And if I don't know, I'll take a couple of both. And then I'll go into that area, obviously scout, and kind of break apart the terrain, and I kind of hit some of the key spots that whenever we do this e-scouting Whitetail Weekly here coming up in the next few weeks, you'll kind of see the things that I'm looking at. And I take, we'll say 1,000 acres, and I want to break it down into 100 acres total, right? Or, a 5-acre chunk here, a 10-acre chunk here. And then I just hit those key spots, and then whatever I want to do that applies to it, right? So feed site, or is it going to be a a mock scrape, which is typically the answer, right? Because the majority of what I hunt is public. So with that being said, it might, that might depend on how many batteries I want to put in my camera. Now, the cool thing about the Moultries is you can put 8 AA batteries in it, or you can put 16 AA batteries in it. So if it's going to be on a feed site, it's going to get a ton of traffic by deer. Naturally, in my head, I'm going to go ahead and put 16 in it. So I just go ahead and prep the bag for that. Like, I'm thinking about all of this way ahead of time. It might sound kind of complex and into the weeds, but once you do it for a little bit, it just kind of becomes second nature. If it's on a mock scrape and it's a low deer density area, or I'm just kind of, trying to do a kind of a pulse check, what's here, what's in the area, take a slight inventory, then I might only just put eight batteries in the camera, especially in warmer temps. It'll get me, most of the way through, bow season, and probably at least until I can get into to pull a hunt or an observation set to freshen up that camera. But with the planning factors that I just stated, I kind of go into those areas that I have picked apart on that map, and I start looking. Say if it's that mock scrape, right back towards that video, I start looking at trees and paying attention to where the sun kind of sets and falls. I never want the sun, directly in front of the camera where it's blinding the camera almost. So try not to face it east-west, depending on terrain or whatever. Yeah. Just for, picture quality and clarity for your sake. Big bucks don't always walk in front of cameras, but when they do, you don't want a giant sunbeam blocking out where his head should be.
Yep.
Sure. So, now, with the different camera setups you have, like you're talking about the Moultrie, what's with the cellular? Do you each individual have to have their own setup?
So, like when I'm hunting, are you talking about the cameras themselves?
Yeah, the camera themselves. Like, can you combine a multitude of cameras on one single price plan, or do you pay each individually?
So, with the Cuddy Links, they are, I believe, $25 a month for unlimited everything per system. Now, per system typically consists of one home camera, and then I believe you can link up to 24 links onto that system. So I can daisy chain 24 cameras onto one home plan and only pay $25 a month.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so super good deal, right? If you're running a lot of links. So like, for those listeners out there that are running, say I've got 100 acres or I've got 200, 300 acres, if I can get that home camera in a singular spot of my farm, get it up high on a feed site or whatever, then you can run all those daisy chain cameras around the rest of your entire property for $25 a month. Man. And get cell pictures.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
And they absolutely will cover the ground. So Luke, it was funny, old Goose, he was at work and he finally bought some and he set them up at work and he got a picture from whenever he was setting it up at work from his home camera. It was like 2.7 miles.
Oh my gosh.
When he was testing it.
That's nuts.
He was just trying to set it up or whatever, and he got a picture. He was like 2.7 miles. So don't underestimate the cutting links. They've absolutely got the range, depending on the terrain. Obviously, if you put a mountain in between them, they're going to struggle to connect. But if it's a few trees, a slight roll on the hill, I wouldn't be too worried about it. Now, for the Moultries, they run off of, I believe it's $15 or $16 for the first camera. And then every additional camera after that is $8.
Okay.
So it's not too bad. The guys at Moultrie understand that, everyone runs multiple systems or whatever.
Yeah.
The big differences between, obviously, other than the price, is the Moultries will send you photos immediately. So if a deer walks in, within a minute, I'm getting a picture of that deer. I believe the fastest I can get a picture on the Cuddy Link is at the end of that hour.
Okay.
So if a deer walks in at like 8:01 or 8 o'clock, I get the picture at 9 o'clock, right? So I'm an hour behind, which for most people isn't a super big deal. For me, it's not a big deal unless it's on a feed site. I typically always try and put, if I'm ever hunting over feed, I always try and put something where I know instantly if there's a deer in front of it, because if there's a deer in front of it, I don't walk in there. I don't like to bump deer.
Mm-hmm.
That is rule number one for me, because if I bump deer, I make deer go nocturnal. Yeah. And that's obviously what we're trying to avoid. So, but that's the main price differences. You've got the single plans with the cutting links, as many cameras as you can link up to the homes, 25 flat a month. And then you've got the 16 and then just 8s after that for each camera.
Nice. Well, let's take a break real quick, and we'll talk a little bit more about these brands of cameras and how you would place those in different plans. But we're going to hear a word from our sponsor real quick.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Trout Routes. Trout Routes is a premier fishing app that strives to empower trout anglers with information to help you go further and discover new waters, new places, and new faces. Check them out at troutroutes.com. Trout Routes is proud to be able to connect you to local resources and experts, such as fly shops, guides, local brands, and nonprofits. Be sure to check them out at troutroutes.com or the Apple App Store and Google Play Store to download the app today.
All right, guys, we're back with Caleb Currence, and we're going to talk to Lucas Dawes here in just a second. Speaking of Trout Routes, you just heard from one of our partners there. They just renewed with us today for a second year, so we're going to be spending a second year advertising for Trout Routes, and that's some good news. And some other good news is they are now part of the Onyx family, so it's not only just Trout Routes. They're going to stay an independent mapping company for the fishing app, but they are now part of the Onyx family. So there was an acquisition there that took place back in January of this year, and we just found out about that today. So I had a conference call this evening, and we got to get filled in on all that good information. And
that's awesome.
We talked about stats and analytics and things and how we're growing as a podcast. We've reached close to, actually it's probably changed by now. I'd say it's over 1,000, but as of today, we were at 998 U.S. cities. So if you're out there listening, share. We want to break 1,000 U.S. cities. And we're right at 37 countries, I believe it is. So we'd like to reach 40 countries. I know Jeremy Jarrett, he's coming in and doing a seminar here in West Virginia for the USA Archery team. So we picked up a lot of good countries while he was over in Italy. And when he got back, all of his archery buddies from over there was wanting to listen to the podcast when we had him on. So that helped us pick up some countries over there. But, we want to hit 1,000 U.S. cities, which we may have already done. I'm not sure. Haven't checked it yet. And we want to reach 40 countries, so we're going to start setting those different goals every quarter. But, we got to tell them all about our, growth and progress and things like that. So another good thing is just got the cord in today, which it was the wrong cord, so I already have another one on order. Getting the cords for these road items is a little difficult because they have proprietary stuff. So you think that maybe you can find an aftermarket, but no, you can't. So you have to use road accessories. So we got a road cord on the way. So what we will be able to do now is we'll be able to take our sound from our board with all of our ads and our callers that call in, and it will be directly inputted into our live stream for our Facebook Lives, YouTube Lives, and different things like that. So that's going to be something good. It's going to offer a lot better sound quality for the listeners that are on Facebook. There's not going to be any more disruptions and lag and things like that. So I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Yeah. So, Caleb, tell us a little bit about, you were talking about brands.
Well, hold on there. Let me.
Oh, you're going to do a salute?
Yeah, let me go ahead and get this salute, then we'll get back with Caleb and Lucas. So tonight our salute of valor for the evening is U.S. Navy Reserve Lieutenant J.R. Manawan Jr.
Man, this is a
26 of Kingwood, West Virginia. He was killed during World War II. In September of 1944, Manawan and two other crew members aboard a TBM 1C Avenger took off from the USS Enterprise on a mission to conduct airstrikes against enemy targets. Malacca. Wow.
Malacca.
whatever it is, Naval District in Palau Islands. Witnesses from other aircraft in the formation saw Manawan's plane struck by enemy anti-aircraft fire and crash into the water near Malakal. There were no indications that Manawan or the other crew members exited the stricken aircraft prior to the crash, and all efforts to recover their remains were unsuccessful. Forces searched for the remains, and investigators could not find any trace of Manawan or his aircraft. He was declared non-recoverable on July 16, 1949. From 2003 to 2023, various agencies, including Vent Prop Project, now known as Project Recover, with members from Scripps Institution of Oceanography and the University of Delaware, and DPAA, Ships of Exploration and Discovery Research, another DPAA partner organization, and Legion Undersea Services conducted various searches and eventually found remains of Manawan and his crewmates. Manawan will be buried on October 29th, 2024 in Kingwood, West Virginia.
Is that not crazy?
That's absolutely insane. That is so cool. That the recovery efforts were really never given up.
Yeah.
20
they years.
No man left behind.
Yeah,
that boys proves it. They over 50 years, and they finally found his remains. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, it started back heavily there, I guess, in 2023, and for 20 years they searched with numerous agencies trying to find those things. So it's just nuts, right, man. Paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country, and we salute you, sir. God bless you and your family.
Yeah, absolutely. And that gives people some closure. So
yeah, yep, for sure.
Oh man, just got news, Mike. We're losing Lucas. He had to take off. So
what?
I guess his sherry's still available.
Oh my gosh! Come on, Lucas, get on here real quick. Come on, buddy.
He makes it to escape another week.
Ah, dang.
Man.
All right.
That's all right.
I guess we'll have to talk to you, Caleb.
Hey,
I can talk. Caleb can blow smoke up anything.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah. This podcast, I can definitely talk.
Yep. Oh, anyway, so back to the trail cameras. Since Lucas ain't going to be here, we was going to introduce him like right now. Like, hey, welcome Lucas Doss, and he's not here. Anyways, so I was going to say podcast cameras, trail cameras.
Well, I know why that's on your mind. We have been looking at those as well.
We have been, yeah, yeah. I'm just thinking about all the stuff that we're trying to upgrade to. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, we've got some of the best.
Trying to give everybody the best experience we possibly can.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got some of the best equipment that you can buy for podcasting, for sure. These wireless mics, they say they are the best in the business. The DJIs, they've done a significant review between these two, and they're very close in resemblance and their features and everything, but the Rode Wireless Pros still come out ahead, so... Right. All right, back to trail cameras. So Tactacam. Tactacam is a very big brand in the camera industry. How come that's not a brand you use?
To be honest with you, I have used them in the past, or I've hunted, with a couple buddies that use them, and I like them. I really do like them. Don't have anything negative to say about Tactacam. I've found that Moultrie. The cameras themselves, which I haven't checked on the Tactacams lately, but the Moultries themselves were a little cheaper at the time when I was buying them.
Yeah, a little more cost effective.
Yeah, and they were just a little bit more cost effective. So that's obviously like what I stuck with. Obviously, I was coming right out of college.
Yeah.
Wasn't making very good money, or everything I was making, I might as well just put it right back into hunting. But
yeah.
But so like cost effectiveness. I mean, if I'm buying 19 cameras, then $20 per camera or $10 per camera adds up.
No, it's a big thing that people look at, and when you start with a product, you're going to stay loyal to that product. Especially if it's a good product, you like it, you're not having problems. Customer service is a big deal. I stuck with, I've had several smokers, and I have stuck with Masterbuilt just because their customer service is good. And I can get a hold of them. They send me replacement parts. They warranty things out. It's just, not an issue. So that's one reason why I've stuck with those. And they're kind of, cost effective. They're right in the middle road. They're not really expensive, and they're not cheap. So, but the reason why I'm mentioning Tacticam is we got to meet up with Danny Hobbs. He is the West Virginia rep for Tacticam. And
Really?
we got to talking about Laurel Fork Farms and Outdoors with James Ross. And James Ross, other than your big retailers in West Virginia, James Ross is the number one seller of Tacticams in West Virginia.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
So,
I know
good.
what experience I do have with Tacticams. I feel like they have a little bit more of the features, like the luxury features.
Yeah.
At least at the time, I know Tacticam had kind of like, the live aim when the first Moultrie Edges didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Edge Pros do. So those two are kind of direct competitors. But I think Tacticam had it before Moultrie. But still, Tacticam's great camera. With all of my experience. Another thing I will say that I do love about the Tacticams that I don't believe you can do with the Moultries is you can put a long range antenna on it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So, for instance, we were in a spot in southern West Virginia. It was like in and out 1-bar service. So I had my saddle, and we plugged in the long range antenna, and I climbed 20 foot above the camera. So I was like 35 foot in a tree, and set up the antenna, and we got service. So
that's pretty
so
good.
just as a FYI. So pretty cool. They are very comparable. I don't know what their plans are, but I can say that my buck, my 8-point, the first one I killed in West Virginia last year, we were running a Tacticam on that spot. It wasn't my camera, but obviously, me and my buddies that I hunt with, we share all of our photos together and stuff on our accounts, and went in there, was able to kill that deer, and that Tacticam did play a big role in it. So no negative comments about Tacticam.
No, that's what I've been running. I like them. That's kind of where that question stemmed from about the price plans and stuff, because Tacticam is depending on what plane you get can be pricey.
Yeah,
that's no question about that. I mean, you can get the base plan is $5 a month for 200 up to 250 pictures.
Yeah,
which I mean, in reality, it's a good bit of pictures.
Yeah,
I think the yearly plan is like $50 a year for the 250 set of pictures.
I think one of the big differences too with these cameras is what companies they carry, like for their carriers. A lot of them don't do every major carrier.
It seems like most of them do at least AT&T and Verizon.
Yeah.
Well, there's actually a camera out there, and I believe it's Cuddyback, that does U.S. Cellular.
Well, they must not get very good.
I'm not for sure. I think Cuddyback's only Verizon and AT&T. However, I know for a fact the Moultries will connect to to the closest and strongest U.S. carrier.
So they bounce from one to the other like the actual antenna.
Yep. So whether it's whatever tower that is owned by a major company, whatever's stronger, those cameras will connect to.
Well, Moultrie was kind of the first in the game when it came to trail cameras, because Tacticam was not about trail cameras starting off. They were about the VOPs.
Action camera, yeah. It
was an action camera. And that's how they kind of got into all the accessories and stuff to put them on your bow and to put them on your gun. And, they had the fisheye camera, which you can still purchase the fisheye camera, but you can't purchase it from their website. You have to go to Amazon to do it. So one of the things that they're trying to get into, and well, they are getting into different markets, obviously, but so the trail cameras is big for Tacticam, but they're also getting into bird houses that have video with them and the security market. So they're broadening their range big time.
Well, I tell you, that is so it's very funny you talk about that, that's a huge gap, I feel like, that, companies have been missing out on for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was at work literally yesterday. And one of my coworkers said, hey, Caleb, I've got this property that I'm wanting to kind of keep an eye on, but like, it's just like the driveway and like the house and stuff. I kind of want like, video surveillance. I want to put up security cameras, but I'm not trying to pay a ton of money. I want something that's easy. And I was like, well, lucky for you, Tacticam just come out with their new Defend, right? And that's their security line. And you can get a 2-pack for under $300. And that's exactly what they are designed to do. Tacticam done a great job with those and capitalizing on the market of like, some people, not everyone's a hunter. Like, some people just want to know and manage their properties to see if there are people stirring trouble up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that was really, really genius on them. So I will have to get a Tacticam shortly, because unfortunately the deer that I killed this past weekend, if I would have had a camera on my bow, I would have gotten footage. But she walked behind some brush that I was tucked up against, tree stand placement. Didn't want to be silhouetted, and it kind of bit me in the rear end whenever it comes to filming her, and ended up not getting super good footage of her.
Yeah.
So I will be investing probably in a Tacticam for the bow.
So was that an urban hunt there that you done?
Yeah.
I got you.
Urban hunt.
That's what I figured it was. I knew it was either urban or Kentucky or somewhere that was already in.
Yeah. Next year, I've really been wanting to kill a velvet buck, and really the only way you can do that in West Virginia is probably an urban hunt. And there are several cities across the state that do it. Obviously here, but it's super, super crowded, like extremely crowded.
Yeah.
To do it here, it's become overly popular. I don't do it to trophy hunt by any means. Typically, I do it to top off the freezer and fill the freezer up for family prior to deer season, get the pre-season jitters out. And I mean, to be honest, I'm deer hunting.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, absolutely.
I add almost 3 weeks onto my season.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do it.
You can't beat the extra time in the woods, man. If you've got the time, take it.
Yeah. And that's one thing that, like, I will stretch it as long as I can. I'll do the urban season starting here, beginning of September. And then whenever our season wraps up, I go to Ohio because they don't close till, closer to February. So I gain another month there.
Yep.
Yeah. See, you just need to take a trip this here shortly and come up here with me, and we'll do a quick Illinois hunt.
Oh, there's some big ones in Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, I'll have the camper already out here. I'll be working.
Hey, don't tempt me. I'm not the one. I'll be there.
Yeah, he will. He will.
I know he will. I don't think I threw that at him.
I know.
I mean, if I can spend 30 days from my wife, or 28 days from my wife for an Army school, and then graduate, and the next day, literally the day I graduate, poor Sky drove me the whole way back, 9 hours from Missouri. I went to sleep, woke up, left, and drove 16 hours with Luke to southern Florida to hunt Osceola. Hadn't seen my wife for a month.
I remember that.
Fast. I will go chase a buck in Illinois. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Basically, Dan's saying, come out there and find him a deer, and you guys can shoot it together.
I'll go out there.
Illinois.
Deer, wait for Dan to miss it, and then I'll kill it.
Dan ain't missing.
Dan ain't missing. Old Eagle Eye there. I tell you what, his daughter can shoot.
That's right. Where do you think she got that?
Her mama. Oh, that's funny. All right, Caleb. Well, man, we sure appreciate you coming in this evening, man, talking to us.
Absolutely. Well, I always love talking to you guys. I appreciate you having me. And, yeah, man, looking forward to, more in the future and these Whitetail Weekly episodes. If you guys are listening, make sure that you're tuning in, because we've really got some important stuff coming down the pipe that can really have a huge impact on your season. So make sure to, listen to this podcast and future ones to stay up to date and be ready for this fall.
Yeah, I really like the Whitetail Weekly segments. It's, we've been putting them on YouTube as well. We've been putting some shorts up there. We don't only put the audio up there that's edited with our ads, but we also put your video footage up there as well. So people are getting both video and audio.
Awesome.
So yeah. I think it's great.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully the footage can get a little bit better. I've done some experimenting with my GoPro this weekend, and it turned out to be extremely, extremely clear, and it had really good audio on it. So if I'm not able to grab one of your guys' new mics to come out and do one, then I think from here on out I'm going to be using that GoPro and then exporting the footage and stuff to hopefully give the consumer a little bit, and the listener a little bit better of a product.
Yeah.
And hopefully something a little bit easier for you to edit.
No, it's great, man. I pop it right in there with the pre-recorded intro there, and it's great. I love it. I take out some dead spots here and there, but other than that, I think it's good that people hear the natural in the field, sound.
Awesome.
Yep. All right, buddy. Well, we sure appreciate you. You have a good evening. Tell Lucas that he's not allowed back on the podcast. That was his only time.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, buddy. No problem.
We appreciate it.
Thank you again.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, guys. Be sure to go out and check us there on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, and wherever you get your podcast. We're there.
On that.
We're there. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Have a good evening. Do you want the true Western hunt experience? Book your hunt of a lifetime today with Highland Outfitters, LLC. Located in Highland, Wyoming, 50 miles west of Casper. Their location in central Wyoming gives you access to some of the best hunting areas in the state. Highland specializes in archery hunts for elk and antelope. Their operations include Wyoming, Texas, and Africa. Highland Outfitters employs some of the finest guides in the business. All guides are licensed by the Wyoming Board of Professional Outfitters and Guides. No matter what the species you decide to hunt, you can count on your guide giving you 110% of being the true professional guide from start to finish. Book your hunt today at 307-797-3311 or 307-797-3312. Visit them on the web at HighlandOutfitters.com. With Highland Outfitters, you will get the true Western adventure.